Donald Trump's latest demented rant includes stealing something from me. He called TikTok Tic Tac, but I do it on purpose. It seemed very much that Donald Trump was just confused. There's a bunch of interesting stuff here, but most notably, there's a degree to which sometimes a grain of truth will slip out almost accidentally in the middle of what are otherwise lie after lie after lie. And Donald Trump acknowledged once again that, yes, it seems as though what he's doing, while he insists it's great and it's the best for the long term, tariffs, for example, mass deportations, etc., in the short term, we could see prices go up. And of course, this is the understatement of the century. We've seen egg prices skyrocket 25% in 3 weeks. It's absolutely ridiculous. But to Trump's credit, he was not able to fully suppress the truth in the way we've become accustomed to.
Tariffs. Who do you think voters should hold responsible?
Oh, I think what's going to go up is jobs are going to go up, and prices could go up somewhat short term, but prices will also go down. And I think the farmers are going to be helped by this very much because product is being dumped into our country, and our farmers are getting hurt very badly by the last administration. The last administration hated our farmers, like at a level that I've never seen before. I think our farmers are going to be helped. Jobs are going to be helped, but our farmers are going to be helped. Our manufacturers are going to be helped. And again,
tariffs.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, in a sense, we can say he's acknowledging what every economist has been saying for a while. The ideas that Trump is proposing, shrinking the labor market through mass deportations, adding an import tax called a tariff. All of these things are going to make things more expensive. Trump insisting, of course, that over the long term, it's all going to be very good. He points to farmers and how great farmers are going to do. Farmers got crushed by Trump in his first term. So if what happened to farmers in his first term is any sign of what will happen now, it's all very, very bad. Next, Trump is talking about TikTok, and he calls it Tic Tac. Now, you all know I jokingly call it Tic Tac. Trump actually seems disoriented here. He says it twice and then realizes, wait a second, I'm calling it the wrong thing. Corrects himself. Take a listen.
then my opponent with youth, okay? That never happened before. I mean, that's always been a Democrat thing, youth. It became a Trump thing. And I think Tic Tac, I think Joe Rogan was a part of it. Some of the great people
Joe Rogan was not a part of Tic Tac or TikTok.
that I did interviews with were a part of it. But I think that TikTok was I think it was a big part. Look.
There you go. So Trump, crystal clear and just so prescient and articulate there in talking about Tic Tac reality. He seems as disoriented as ever. CNN's Caitlin Collins, who at one point Donald Trump actually says, we haven't asked you to speak yet. Actually, let's play that first. This was kind of a funny moment. Some call it misogynistic, others call it funny. Sort of depends on your perspective. Here is Caitlin Collins trying to ask Trump a question, and he says, oh, no, we're not asking you to speak.
Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet, please.
We haven't, we really need the Curb Your Enthusiasm music over this. Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet. Anyway, when she was allowed to ask a question, she asked a good question. How are you monitoring whether President Musk, Elon Musk, is operating within your administration in a way that does not represent a conflict of interest with his numerous business entities? And Trump goes, I just asked him or something.
You mentioned Elon Musk and the efforts that he's undertaking with your
Yeah.
authority. You granted him new authority this week. Will he secure any new government contracts while he is working on Doge?
No, not if there's a conflict. If there's no conflict, I guess what difference does it make? But we won't let him do anything having to do with the conflict.
Are you personally checking to make sure there's no conflicts of interest?
Yeah, I am.
Personally, Trump is personally checking. Does anybody here believe that?
He answers to you.
Sure, he does. First of all, he wouldn't do it. And second of all, we're not going to let him do anything where there's a conflict of it.
It's so funny because How could anyone believe that? If you've been following this decade nightmare of Trump in American politics, how could anyone believe that Trump would never allow anyone working for him to have a conflict of interest, that Trump is personally checking whether people working for him have a conflict of interest? It's laughable, almost as laughable. And again, when we laugh to avoid crying, I guess. Trump was asked, do we need to study the effect that these tariffs you keep threatening and pushing back, do we need to study what effect that would have? And Trump goes, no, there's nothing to study. It's so cut and dry. It's going to be awesome.
Typical tariffs. Would you also direct agencies to study the impact they would have on prices in the U.S.?
No, there's nothing to study. There's nothing to study. It's going to go well. You know, the United States is going to become a very, very strong economically country. Yeah.
Very 1984, right? Study. I told you what's going to happen with the tariffs. Everything will be awesome. Prices will go down. We will have record GDP growth. We will have record hiring. It's just, why would we study something that I am doing erratically and counter to what every serious economist is suggesting? Study it. And of course, this reminds us of gun violence. The idea that these Republicans, the more guns in more places people, don't want to study the effects of gun violence as a public health issue because they know what the answer would be. And they don't want that. They want to create plausible deniability to the extent that they're able. Why? You don't study if it might give you the wrong answer. You say there is nothing here to study. And then no Trump press conference is really complete if, apropos of nothing, Trump doesn't claim that there was or could have been fraud. This time it's Democrats tried to rig it in 2024. They just weren't able to.
Nuclear, what a great thing if we could do that. And we were going to, he really liked the idea, and so did I. And we had then called China, and China was very open to it. And then COVID hit, and then we had a rigged election. But now there was no rigged election. Now we have an election that was too big to rig. That's what my whole theme was, too big to rig. And they tried, but they didn't pull it off.
I would assume that the opposite of what Trump is saying is more likely true than what he is actually saying. And as we continue to exist in bizarro world, Trump, who seems regularly disoriented and confused, is now going after Mitch McConnell over the issue of cognitive decline. Let's talk about that next. By now, you've probably heard about DeepSeek. It's now the #1 app on most app stores, but every conversation you have with DeepSeek is stored on Chinese servers and subject to Chinese censorship. If you want to try DeepSeek without sharing all your conversations with Beijing, then let me recommend our sponsor, Venice AI. Venice.ai is a generative AI platform. It's private and it's permissionless, and they utilize leading open source AI models to deliver text, code, and image generation right to your web browser. No downloads, no installations of anything, and they offer a version of DeepSeek that's private and without censorship. China's not the only problem. ChatGPT has the former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now. Do we think our conversations are private with American AI companies? We also know that these companies program their AIs to give only certain kinds of answers. I love that Venice.ai doesn't spy on you, doesn't censor anything. Messages are encrypted. Your conversation history is stored only on your browser. Enjoy private, uncensored AI. Go to venice.ai/Pacman and use the code Pacman to get 20% off a pro plan. The link is in the description.